live from the Alico building. That's right. We are in Central Texas on the 21st floor up above all of Central Texas. It's the Pete Sousa Show presented by Slovacek's Crawford Austin Properties, of course. Getting involved. Don't forget D1 either. Supposed to catch up with my man Kevin Engelbrecht. We got some D1 situation stuff going on in Waco. If you heard me say that, he would kill me. But there's something happening there, folks. We'll tell you about it down the line. Also, Daniel Stark Injury Lawyers and Socorro Family Ford of West. Scotty, let's bring you right up, dude. So last night, I watched Woman of the Hour, and I liked the movie. And I texted to, and I give you credit, I texted to our chat. You must have been like biting your tongue because I texted the chat. I said, why is it that I feel like Dateline is pretty much better than any movie I watch? Now, that could be a couple things. One, I'm getting old. Okay.
Don't say that.
I am. I mean, I think old people watch Dateline, right? Or does everybody just watch Dateline now? Do we all love true crime?
It's Dateline or Fox News, one of the two.
Definitely more Dateline. So I watched the movie. I thought it was, first of all, it's like a 91 rating on Rotten Tomatoes.
Yeah.
I felt like it was a little indulgent and I didn't know who was the director. I said, right. I felt like the director kind of was feeling themselves a little indulgent. So it could have been a little quicker. The pacing might have been a little slow. And then Scotty with the illumination right away.
That's right. So this is Anna Kendrick's directorial debut. So Anna Kendrick, kind of one of those B-list movie stars.
I don't B-list.
Yeah,
come on.
I mean, it's Pitch Perfect A-list. I mean, is that what we're calling it now? But I mean, Anna Kendrick, notable.
A Simple Plan was great.
Notable actress for a long time. I'm a big fan of Scott Pilgrim versus the World. She's great in that film. But directorial debut, and what we talked about is she plays this lead character who encounters a serial killer on the dating game, and that's kind of the thriller piece of it. But she inserted a lot of her own experience as an actress, being objectified by casting directors or just men around her in general into the film, which is where some of that storytelling comes from. I thought it was a great movie, honestly.
Out of 4 stars, you're giving it 4?
3.5.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's good to know that Scotty doesn't get too excited. He's not too much a prisoner of the moment. But it brought up to me, really, I was like, do I like watching Dateline more than anything else? Like when I'm watching something, I really do think I'm like, man, I could put on a Dateline I would like this. I think it would be better. Or a 30 for 30 that I've watched. I think I'm so documentaried out in a way, like I'm so out there with them that I don't know. I have trouble with some of the other, and I'm a big movie guy. Like, leave your phone in the car, go to the theater, buy yourself popcorn, M&Ms, mix them together. I haven't seen a movie in a theater for a while, though,
right.
Which I love.
Well, and this is what I'll say about that film. So when I heard the premise, which is just
you can watch it on Netflix, by the way.
Aspiring actress encounters serial killer on the dating game. I was like, how do you make a whole film out of that?
It's true. I mean, it's based on a true story.
And I actually thought it was pretty tight. And the way that they told the story, and I won't spoil it, but inserted another character story alongside the
that was cool. That was cool.
I thought it was pretty well done. And especially for the fact that I think Netflix, I feel like we talked about this recently on one of these shows. Netflix, I feel like bats pretty low in terms of their films being worth your time.
Yeah.
And for a Netflix movie that I watched at the house, I thought it was really good.
Okay.
I thought it was really good.
All right, there you go. I thought it was good. I don't know about really good, but to me, I'm just more conflicted of like, do I like Dateline more than anything else in my life, which is kind of like weird to even think about, but it's possible.
Yeah.
All right, moving on to college football. We're here to talk sports, right? We like to talk a little pop culture. We're going to take a deep dive into the Zach Bryan, Brianna Chicken Fry situation with someone who knows Brianna Chicken Fry, a childhood friend who has real deep connections to this young woman. So I can't wait to discuss that. That's going to come up in our third segment. Second segment, it's time to win some money. Corey Dickman's coming on. We are going all in with the bets. And let me just tell you, he is outside licking his chops, getting ready to come in here. One of the games he might bet or pick is this week's game, Colorado and Texas Tech, which honestly, I am beyond excited for. There's some background to this too. Joey Maguire knows Deion Sanders really well, which I had a feeling because it was DFW high school football. They were but Joey coached at Cedar Park for a very long time, or Cedar Hill, excuse me, in the DFW area. And he actually coached Bucky, who's Deion Jr. That's Deion's son. And Bucky handles all like the social media right now for Colorado, which obviously he's very good at that too. But Coach Maguire talks about those games at Cedar Hill when he was the head coach, or practices where, Shador and Shiloh, if you don't know who Shiloh is, he's the guy that plays D-back for Colorado, but he's nowhere near as good as Shador, and it's not his fault because Shador is awesome. But he remembers those kids, and he knows how good of kids they are. And he also said the first thing he talked about this week when he talked about Colorado, and I think this is something that is very important because it speaks to Deion Sanders as a college football coach. He said, hey, the one thing about Deion that really jumps out at me right away is that he's a great dad. And I've seen it with my own, with my own two eyes. I've been a part of it. Joey said, there were times when he would maybe even go to Deion for a little bit of his insight. And Deion was like not quick to give it out or to overstep. He said, Joey was like, he was nowhere near like a helicopter parent. And I love hearing that because I feel like we get a lot of superficial Deion, and that's probably what Deion likes. But I can tell you from having read a lot about Deion too, Boys Will Be Boys, the Jeff Pearlman book, and Pearlman's an amazing writer, and I love most all of the stuff. Now he's kind of sly in his commentary about how Deion just changed his life, but he truly did. He went from must be the money Deion to a guy when he was in Atlanta, to a guy who, suicide attempt, driving his car like off the road, and to finding God, and to, completely turning things around for him, like from an internal standpoint. And ultimately that affects how he treats everybody else. And Joey Maguire speaking to that and saying, hey, he's an amazing dad, is something I find really interesting. Like Deion wants to talk some smack. He wants to be out there and, we coming, you better get me now. I'm easy to find, or I ain't hard to find. Like all that stuff is awesome. And that's kind of who he is. I appreciate that. Like the brand is still there. But like beneath it all, like, and do I think he knows who his backup offensive guard is? Probably not. I mean, or maybe he does, but if he didn't, I wouldn't be shocked. And I don't think he's the only college football coach in the country we could say that about. But he's a special guy for the sport of college football because he brings an amazing competitive juice to the sport. He brings some shit talking, which is always a lot of fun, especially the way he does it. He keeps it kind of in bounds. And he's got a huge game this Saturday. Biggest game, I would say, probably low-key the biggest game that Colorado will play or has played so far in Deion's tenure. And here is why. They're favored on the road against Texas Tech. Texas Tech's coming off a huge win against Iowa State, and Texas Tech is a lot better than people think. They got Taj Brooks, a running back who is 7 yards away from setting an all-time program rushing record. You also have a quarterback in Baron Morton who can throw the ball all over the field. And you have a defense led by the kid Rodriguez, who was very good. And I don't want to say very good. They're good. Okay, they're solid. I'm getting a little carried away here. But Colorado has an opportunity to set up their season, right? Like, this is the hardest game left on their schedule. And they're 5-1 right now. Like, think about that. This is the toughest game they're going to play for the rest of the year. And trust me, it's a game that they can absolutely lose. Let me pull up their schedule, which, of course, I'm not ready with stuff like this, but what are you going to do? So I can take you through these last few games. So you've got Utah. Okay, so we got Colorado, Texas Tech. Okay, that is obviously Colorado's 20th in the country. They are favored by 3. Then they play Utah at home next week, 11 a.m. Big noon kickoff will be there. By the way, big noon kickoff, Fox Sports pregame is going to be at Texas Tech, or they're there now for that game tomorrow. It's at 3 o'clock. And then Colorado, Kansas. I mean, it's all there. And I'm dying to see how Colorado does. And this is a game where they turn the corner. This is a game where if they win it, they're really setting themselves up for a shot at the Big 12 title game, and they're really setting themselves up for a shot at the college football playoff. Iowa State losing, having that one loss, has really swung the door wide open for Deion Sanders and Colorado. And what I mean by that is, one, if you continue to win and win out, you're going to be a Colorado team that finishes the season 10-1. If you get an invite to the Big 12 title game and you win that, you're automatically, as things would look right now, going to play in the college football playoff. You're going to earn an automatic bid. Even if you go to that game and lose, you could still quite possibly earn a bid, because here's why. It's where we started. You're Deion Sanders. You're Colorado. I mean, if you watch any of ESPN's programming, love ESPN, obviously, but any of their like promos for college football, like you'll see an image of either Travis Hunter, Shedeur, or Deion right away. And there's a good reason why. I mean, Deion Sanders commands the bright lights and really look at what he's done. I mean, Colorado won one game the year before he took over. Okay. So last year, yeah. And it was tough sledding. I mean, they had the worst offensive line in college football last year. Nobody got sacked more than Shedeur Sanders. And their defense couldn't stop a nosebleed. So what do? You retool the offensive line somewhat over the offseason, and you hire a new defensive coordinator who at first it looked like things were going to kind of be it was a little suspect early on, especially after the first game. And now I think, and I have the note here, hold on. So Colorado, their defense, okay, they've won 5 of 6 of their last 6, and they barely lost to Kansas State, right? And the defensive improvement is really what has led this team back. Cam and I were talking yesterday. You think about Baylor and like Dave Aranda and that defense. Like Baylor has won 3 straight, but the defense has played okay. Colorado's defense is playing very, very well for Colorado, right? 35 points they were averaging last year. This year, they're down to 21 points a game. That's a winnable deal. And I think that on Saturday, if they can win that game, they have set themselves up now for a real shot at the postseason. And whether that is the Big 12 title game or whether that is, I mean, ultimately, right, the college football playoff. And Deion earlier this week, I appreciate the fact that he said, hey, like every game now is a playoff game. And that mentality that he's putting on his team is something that can carry you through. There's no longer, they're going to go to a bowl. That woman, Miss Peggy, Deion's going to fly her over there because she hasn't been to a bowl in like 100 years or whatever. And I think that's amazing. But like, as Deion said, he said, that's kind of cute. Like we want a lot more than just that. Scotty, you got something?
I made the easiest $20 I've ever made in my life betting before the season with a buddy that Colorado would get to 6 wins.
I mean, how about that?
And it's just for the stuff you pointed out, like the offensive line stuff. They really underperformed, or seemingly so, last season. Defense questions, all those things.
And I think we were mystified for a little bit. We looked at Deion Sanders, right? Exciting. Travis Hunter and Shedeur Sanders. And I think ultimately people started to look at Colorado and say, well, that's the whole program. And it's not true.
Right.
I love to compare them to Arizona. Noah Fafita and Tet McMillan, who are outstanding players individually. Fafita has had a rougher season than most expected, but
McMillan will be a first-round pick.
Oh, no question.
Yeah.
And that's an example of, okay, you got 2 perennial powers, but what's that really going to do for you? Arizona's in free fall. So Colorado is a quality football team, and this game, this appointment with Texas Tech could really be an appointment with destiny. They're a 3-point favorite. There's a reason why they're a 3-point favorite on the road. Again, the improved defense, Travis Hunter is the best player in college football, and it's safe to say Shedeur Sanders is the best quarterback in college football. I always go back to the fact that you looked at Shedeur last year and you saw how many times he got sacked, and you didn't see his attitude waver. Not really. Not enough where it was jarring to me. So I think you look at that opportunity coming up for Colorado as an opportunity really to turn the corner, like I said. And we're about to turn the corner because we got Papa Bear in here. Corey Dickman is ready to make some picks. First of all, the guy had a book bag in here earlier today. He's change all over the floor. Cam Stewart challenged me to count the change. So what do? I get on my hands and knees, Corey. I count the change, and then come to find out that Mike had already counted it.
I mean, isn't that my money?
Well, it is your money.
Is it in my book bag?
According to me, it's your $9.24. According to
$9
Mike, it's your $9.53.
Oh, I see the quarters now. I was like, how'd you get the $9?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's incredible.
See,
That's an old book bag of mine.
All right. Well, look, we're not talking about change anymore. We're talking about cash money.
Big money, baby.
On the other side of the break, All In Bets with Corey Dickman, the Pete Sousa Show, powered by the Rogue Media Network, coming up.
It's the Pete Sousa Show. Sports, Pete.
Nobody tells our stories better than our clients.
The difference is stark. I was rear-ended at a stop. I thought I was fine, and then once I got home, I realized it's a lot worse than I thought. I ended up having a ruptured disc. You say you're not hurting, and then an hour later, you're saying you're in all this pain. I just felt like most people would think that I was lying. And that's when I decided to call Daniel Stark. I owe a lot to Daniel Stark. They really got me what I deserved.
The difference is stark.